everyone. Today we are going to be doing crayon rocks and the crayon rock cycle, which is the same as the rock cycle, except for we're using crayons to understand what's going on in that aspect. So today we are going to be needing several things. You can pick most of these items up at the dollar store. I prefer Dollar Tree because everything there is actually $1. The other good thing about this project is you can do it in many different ways. It just matters the specific rocks that you are going to be doing are done the way they are supposed to be. So metamorphic involves pressure and heat, where igneous is lots of pressure and heat. And sedimentary is compacted sediments. So all of those tiny little sediments packed together to form layers. Okay. Metamorphic and igneous are different, and we will learn about how they are different. And this will kind of help us understand how they are different too. Okay, let's go through our materials. You need bags. I choose the snack bags because they are smaller. I can squish and I use less space of bag. So if you don't have snack bags, you can use sandwich bags. Okay. You either need aluminum foil or wax paper. If you use aluminum foil, you don't necessarily need to have a tin. I use the cupcake tin because I liked that it forms circles and that they are smaller, so the surface area here is smaller than like a square tin. I would recommend that you get this from the dollar store because it will stick to it and it is not easy to clean off, so you don't want to ruin something good. So if you have expensive ones, please don't use that. You definitely want to make sure that you are using something like this that is cheap from the dollar store or aluminum foil. Okay. Another thing you might find useful is you could use cupcake things, these little wax papers that are for cupcakes. So if you don't want to ruin your tin and you're worried about that, but you're still willing to take a risk, which again, kids, this is up to your parents, not you. You can use one of those in it, and that will help protect your pan and make cleanup a little easier. Okay, let's go through some more items. I got several trays because it is a little messy and I don't want to get that mess on anything that's important to me like the table. Okay, and then you will need a pencil sharpener. Do not use an automatic pencil sharpener as the crayons will break inside of it and it will ruin it. You don't want to use one of those. Just get one of the manual little pencil sharpeners. Although it sucks to use a manual pencil sharpener, you don't want to break your expensive pencil sharpener that's electric because it will get stuck and it's very hard to get out. And you want a box of crayons. I chose the jumbo crayons because I don't want to pull off tons of paper because you will have to individually unwrap each of these crayons. So the more wax I have, that means the less paper I have to undo. So I went with the jumbo. You definitely don't have to. Brand does not matter. Color does not matter. If you want it to look pretty, I would avoid colors like brown and black and dark blue. I would use brown, black, and dark blue for our igneous rocks because no matter what, it's not going to be a pretty color. I got the neon ones because I've never done it with neon colors, and I thought it would be cool to see how it really pops out the difference between the rocks. So I'm going to try these neon colors as well as typical colors. Okay. Push that back some. All right. You should also have a copy of the How to Make Crayon Rocks sheet, which is found on the Google Classroom. I typed this up a few years ago because I make science kits for Colorado School of Mines, and I found this lesson to be very informative and helpful for understanding at all levels. So we will also need a bowl of ice water and cold. That is for the igneous section. Depending on time, these may be separate videos. We will also need some sort of way of getting the crayon paper off. Now, this would require supervision if you are going to use a knife, because I do not want you using a knife without help. It is easier to use a knife, and I would ask your parents to do that for you. The newer the crayon is, though, the easier it is to get the paper off. So see, it just comes right off, and you don't even need a utensil for that. Make sure you go through all of the materials. Like I said, we're not going to go through every single rock in this video. Today, we're just going to do the sedimentary. My sheet is meant for doing a whole classroom full, so you definitely do not need the same amount of materials, which is why I listed that an example would be 182 crayons, yield 30 of each crayon rock. So a pack of 10 jumbo rocks is enough to make our rocks. And again, brand does not matter, so if you want to buy cheap ones, go for it. Rose Art works. Okay, we will also need a source of heat for metamorphic. For our sedimentary, you don't need heat because it is only supposed to show pressure. However, that truly depends on how much pressure you're able to apply to make sure the crayons actually stick together. Now remember, the difference is in nature, this happens and they get cemented together. The sediment gets The sediment gets cemented together so that way it turns into layers, and that happens with pressure and time. We are making this with just pressure and very little time compared to the amount of time that it takes sedimentary rocks to form. So be aware of that. In order to fast forward through that time process and think about rocks are outside in the sun, you could leave the rock outside for only a few minutes because it's crayons, it's wax, it's going to melt. You don't want it to turn into a metamorphic rock now, do you? You want it to stay sedimentary. So I would only leave it out there for maybe 2 minutes to 5 minutes and check on it. And at that point, you should have it flat enough that you can not melted, but enough that they will stick together better and make it where your rock withstands the amount of use you're going to be using it for, like looking at it, and so it doesn't just crumble into pieces. But do you know, over time, sedimentary rocks can crumble into pieces. That's how we get sandstone that's falling off the mountains onto the ground because it is breaking apart from erosion and weathering. All right, let's get started. So we're going to start peeling our crayons. Again, if you are going to use a knife, you need adult supervision. I am going to use a knife, one, because I am an adult and I want this video to go as fast as possible. So you at home don't have to worry about, oh man, I don't have a fast forward button. So I am going to just slice through. Your paper can go in the recycling bin or the trash. I'm just going to put it in my tray. I'm also going to put a tray under me because I already have some crayon getting on my table. And I don't want that. So it's getting a little hectic over here. So I'm just going to put my trash / recycle pile over here. All right. I'm going to put my done crayons in there. All right, I am all done unwrapping all of my crayons. You can see them there. And I already have some sediment forming from taking the paper off those crayons. Okay, our next step in sedimentary rocks is, this isn't enough sediment to make a rock right now, right? So we need to create some sediment. Now remember, this isn't going to be mixed together, so you should be able to see all of the colors that you put in it. So this is a rock that you can make pretty. I am going to make it pretty because I think it looks cooler when you do that. And so I'm going to use neon pink, neon purple, and peach. So those are the 3 colors I'm going to use. Now, when I was doing this for 30 of each type of crayon rock, I used a magic bullet blender. However, it does sacrifice that blender piece, the bottle, not the blades, but the bottle itself. It will have a layer of wax around it that is a little difficult to get off, but after about 3 washes and scrubbing it with Dawn soap, I was able to get it all off. And it did not ruin my blender in any way. However, if you are worried about that, then I would suggest going and using your pencil sharpener. It does take more time. However, those sediment will be able to stick together better than the sediment that's made with the blender. So you can choose either option. I am going to start with the pencil sharpener and show you how that works. So if you're going to use jumbo crayons, get a jumbo pencil sharpener, which I did not do. So I am just going to grab a butter knife and see if that works. Okay, while I was away, I thought of several other ideas that I could use. Again, unless it's the butter knife that's not sharp, you need to have parent supervision to use other items and make sure that it's okay. And remember, cleanup process will be different. You can also get one of these cheese graters at Dollar Tree, so you don't have to worry about ruining the things that you like or having to worry about cleaning them. But it won't necessarily ruin the blades. It just makes it really hard to clean because of the wax. So that's what I mean by ruining them, is it gets the wax on them and it's really hard to get off. Okay, let's see which method is going to work the best, because I don't have my magic bullet anymore. Not because of crayon rocks, but because it's somewhere in a box, because I moved, I got a house. So Butter knife is working pretty well. I broke my crayon, but I'm able to shave some off relatively easily. All right. So that's a working option. You could also get butter knives at Dollar Tree. I have a melon peeler thing, so I'm going to see how well that works. I seem to be getting farther faster. Okay. It's a little difficult to get the crayon shavings out of it though. Okay. To be honest, I'm kind of scared of cheese graters because I have had bad experiences with them. So I'm going to make the farthest side of the crayon the place where it's going to be, and I'm going to use the small one and make sure my fingers are far, far away from it because I definitely don't want to have another cheese grater situation. That seems to be working just as well. And it also makes it where I don't have to worry about my finger being there. All right, so choose your option that you are going to use, whether it's going to be a blender that has a small round piece, like a smoothie 8-ounce or 16-ounce container that has the blending piece, or a cheese grater, butter knife, whatever you can find, pencil sharpener. If you have normal crayons, you can use a normal pencil sharpener. If you got the jumbo ones like I did, remember you're going to need a jumbo sharpener. Okay, I am going to pause while I do the shavings, and you should do the same. Okay, so I have gotten to the little nub of the peach, which is too close to the shredder that I'm using for me to feel comfortable. So I'm going to put this piece aside because I can use it with the metamorphic rocks. Okay, I have now completed my crayon shavings. You can see that there's still lots of crayon on here. So again, if you are using a cheese grater, you need to have parent supervision, okay? And you never want to touch the sharp side with your fingers, as they are tiny miniature blades. They will cut you. So I'm gonna tap this on my tray to get off as much of the loose crayon pieces that I can. Some of them are missing my tray, but I did do a good job at getting most of them off. Now I'm going to take my fingers along the back because the back is safe and just get out the rest that I can. Okay. I am not going to worry about the blade side because that can be washed off and it is not worth risking my fingers. Okay. While I was shaking off my grater, that was very interesting. There was some static electricity attached to the table. So when I lifted the tray, it pours out my crayons. So take that into consideration. And I am going to just sweep around the area with my hands and slide this off and pour it back in. It is also good to note here that you don't want a ceiling fan going. I'm trying to get mine to turn off. Okay. So what I ended up doing is I gathered all the shavings with my hand like this, and I sweeped across, and I used a paper and I sweeped them onto the paper and I poured them back in. Can't tell if my ceiling fan's still going. So I'm very carefully turning this. All right, I have a good amount. This struggle is real, guys. Okay, I have a good amount here, enough for me to make a pretty nice crayon rock. I think I finally got that to shut off. Okay, so now we want to transfer the sediment either into a plastic bag or your little cup. Whatever you use, make sure that you are able to apply pressure to it that is flat. So if you're going to be using a cup tin for cupcakes, you need to be able to have something that can apply pressure flat to this little space. I am going to use my bag instead. All right, my fan is finally turned off. So now I can take all these crayon shreddings . Put them in my bag. Okay. All right. Now I'm gonna close my bag. It is important to note you don't want air in here, because the more air there is, the less you will be able to apply the pressure that you need. Make sure it's fully sealed and very flat. All right. I mixed my colors together well. It's up to you whether you want to mix them well or you want to have them in layers, however you prefer. All right, now I am going to just shake this. Sorry, I'll move it down. Shake this on the table until I have a nice flat layer here. Okay. It is also good to note here that the thinner your rock is, the more likely it is to break. However, the thicker it is, the harder amount of pressure, or the more amount of pressure you will need, the harder you will have to press down. So I'm thinking that mine is a little thin. I am just going to fold it in half. Spread it out. Okay. And then I am going to fold the bag over with it, so that way I have a firm crease. I also have found an air bubble, so I'm going to release that. And then close it so I don't get a new air bubble. All right. Now it is time for us to apply pressure. The way I prefer to do this is I take a large book and I set the book on top of it and press down. The book provides its own weight, so that helps with the amount of pressure that we need. Okay, so I grabbed a large textbook from my husband. Now, it should not get any crayon on it. However, if you have sediment on the table or statically attached to your bag, it may get on the book. So that's where I'm going to use the wax paper. It definitely only matters if it is not yours or important to you. All right, then you're just going to apply pressure to it. So you could put it on the floor and stand on it. That would be the best way to apply pressure. If I was to do that right now, you wouldn't be able to see it, but I am going to take the book and the crayons to the floor so I can step on it too. Okay, I am done stepping on my rock. I can see that it has been smashed together and it looks pretty darn good. There is a spot here that there is still loose sediment. I'm not worried about that because I have a pretty good sized rock right here. So I'm not going to worry about that little corner. But if you would like to, it just needs more pressure applied to it. All right, now I'm going to take out my rock over my tray. Okay, you have to do this very gently because again, pressure and sedimentary rock, they are very fragile. They can break easily. All right, there's my rock there. You can see how it's firmly together. All of those pieces are cemented together with the crayon wax, but we're pretending that's sediment cement. And it is one firm piece. And look at that, it does look pretty. Oh, see, broke. All right. If you would like this to last a lot longer than the few seconds you have with it, that is where you can take it outside for literally 2 minutes to 5 minutes because you don't want it to melt. You just want it to have enough that those little tiny granules of crayon can be heated enough that they will stick together better with pressure. But you do not want to see any melting. If you see melting, you have then turned it into a metamorphic rock, and that's not what we're going for here. All right, it does take about 1 hour to make a crayon rock, so keep that in mind. And that is all for sedimentary rock. I did put up some lesson plans. I want you to make predictions and comparisons. If it is above your level, I want you to take the questions on the pages, transfer them to a notebook, and write a detailed summary about what those questions are about. Remember, if you are secondary or higher, and not higher, sorry, you're secondary and in high school, I definitely would request that you do more work on this because it is a good representation on how sedimentary rock can just crumble, how it looks, how it's formed. All of those things are good to write about. So make sure you're using those science writing skills, and that is all. You can look for the next video, Metamorphic Rocks. A quick helpful hint for cleaning up is to use one of those plastic wire brushes, Dawn soap, and hot water. Do not burn yourself, but That will help melt the crayon enough that you can scrub it off. And you could also get it really hot under hot water before using the wire brush and soap, and wipe it down with a paper towel with that hot water, so you're getting as much of the material off as possible. All right, if you are going to go to the metamorphic rock part next, then I wouldn't worry about cleaning up right now because you're going to continue it. But if you are going to move on and not do metamorphic rocks right now, then definitely make sure that you clean up your mess and take care of your trash or recycling. And that's all. All right.